It's a Pickles when I gotta watch talking to the mic. He'll be looking at you. He'll be like talking all around.
Yeah, I have problems. Can you hear what I'm saying? Check, check.
You guys are good?
We good to go?
You have Slack?
Yeah. We both on screen? Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody? You're here at another episode of Pickles House, the second episode.
House.
Yeah, with Rosie Tran.
We're at Pickles House.
We got an exciting episode here today, you guys. My friend Rosie Tran's here in town from LA. She is an amazing comedian, amazing talent,
so
amazing artist. I love watching her do her thing. I'm glad that whenever she comes down, I got to open for her. I hosted.
The Comedy House.
At the Comedy House. Shout out Comedy House.
From Pickles House to the Comedy House.
Hell yeah. I love Rosie. She's fun. She is out of box Rosie, you guys. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Just check out my social media on Instagram, Out of the Box Rosie, named after my podcast, Out of the Box Podcast with Rosie Tran. And on Twitter, I'm at Funny Rosie, and Facebook, at Funny Rosie.
Hell yeah.
I'm on, what's my Facebook?
Out of the Box Rosie, Funny Rosie. She's here in the house.
In Pickles House.
In Pickles House, baby. This podcast is brought to you by and sponsored by Another Bar, everybody. If you're ever in New Orleans, come on by Another Bar. We do a show here, a comedy show every Tuesday that I host. Very fun. Come on out and hang out with us. But right now we're hanging out with Rosie Tran. What's up, my friend?
What's up? I immediately bonded with Pickle as soon as I met him about a year ago.
Yeah.
Because you were like, West Bank. You kind of were like giving me a look like, who is this girl? And then I was like, West Bank.
Yeah. When somebody screams West Bank at you, we're instant friends for life. Yeah, instant friends for life.
Okay, so if you guys are watching and you're like, what are they talking about? The West Bank is the best bank of New Orleans.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's where we're both from. She's Algiers. I am from Marrero, you guys.
Yeah, Marrero. On the back of Ames or the front?
The front.
The front of Ames.
The front of Ames.
That's too inside. That's too inside for some of the YouTubers.
Yeah. It's probably closer to the project areas where I'm.
Marrero in the house.
Marrero, baby. What's up?
See, you didn't know I know about Marrero, okay?
Nah, I didn't.
You didn't know about that.
I didn't. You're cruising down the street, pick it real slow. What did they yelling? Marrero. That's actually the name of my show now. Is What the Fuck Are They Yelling? Yeah. I was sitting down with Sean Patton the other day.
Sean.
Sean's awesome, and I was like, man, I got a show, but I don't know what to name it. He was like, well, what's up with your area? I was like, Marrero. He was like, what the fuck are they yelling comedy show? I was like, hell yeah. Actually, Rosie Tran is headlining my What the Fuck Are They Yelling comedy show this Sunday, everybody, at Bière Bar. I run a show every last Sunday of the month at Bière Bar. So if you're ever in New Orleans, check that out, you guys. But let's get into it. How about that?
Let's do it.
Growing up in Algiers, tell us about your life.
You know what? I actually love growing up in Algiers. I love growing up on the West Bank, and I didn't know that there was anything wrong with the West Bank until I went to school on the East Bank, and then people were like, oh, the West Bank. I'm all, excuse me? But I actually, we got revenge on them because after Katrina, a bunch of people moved to the West Bank when the East Bank was flooded.
Yeah, they did.
And they were all like, oh, the West Bank. I'm like, okay, well, you see what's up. You see what's up.
Yeah, you can't not love us. We're the shit. You know, and that's why I think people hate us, because we are the shit.
I will say though, so repping where you're from is a super New Orleans thing. And I recently did a show. I'm not going to talk smack about this comedian, but he was claiming that he was from New Orleans. He said, oh, I'm from New Orleans. And so I was like, oh, really? I'm from New Orleans. Where are you from? And this is how I knew he wasn't from New Orleans. He goes, New Orleans. No. Anyone from New Orleans says they're hood.
Right.
They say, oh, I'm from Algiers. I'm from Marrero. I'm from 7th Ward. I'm from, Lakeview. You don't just say New Orleans again.
Right.
So then I said, yeah, I know. I just told you I'm from New Orleans. Where? And he got real uncomfortable.
That's what they do. They start twitching and shit.
Twitching.
Oh no,
You know?
I don't know the rest of this answer.
So sometimes people are from, and there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes people are from, a Covington or Mandeville or, Houma or something, and they'll say New Orleans, but we really know because you would rep your hood.
Right. We're all from like around New Orleans, and we meet in the middle at another bar. That's what we do.
But you always got to rep your hood. That's how you know. So I knew he wasn't really from New Orleans, but I didn't want to embarrass him. So I was like, okay.
I'd embarrass the shit out of him, boy. He was on the podcast. Y'all were doing the podcast.
We weren't doing a podcast. We were doing a show in LA, and he goes, and I didn't know he was from New Orleans. I said, well, where are you from in New Orleans? And he just said the word New Orleans again. I'm like, okay, you're not from New Orleans.
Right. No, you're not. You're definitely not, buddy.
Because there's two questions people ask you. Where are you from and what high school did you go to?
Yeah. What high school did you go to?
I went to Ben Franklin in Lakeview.
Ben Franklin in Lakeview? Damn, you went to a good school, huh?
I did go to a good school.
This is white privilege in the Asian body. That's what this is.
I think Asian privilege is its own thing, right?
Asian privilege is its own
Asian
thing?
privilege is its own thing.
What does Asian privilege look like?
Asian privilege looks like we get the privileges of kind of being white, but also of being a minority. So we kind of get both worlds.
Okay.
It's true, because growing up, all my black friends would treat me like I was a minority and tell me all the shit about white people. And then all the white people would treat me like I was white and tell me all the shit. And I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see both worlds here. Yeah,
I got the same thing, like living in growing up in Marrero. All my black friends would tell me about white people too.
You're like, I'm white. They're like, oh, you are Pickle?
They were like, no, you're not white, you're ours. I was like, okay, I'm Italian, motherfucker. That's what we'll stick with.
Yeah, you're kind of black.
Yeah. I'll let them say that. I'll let everybody else say it. But yeah.
I just treat everyone equal, though. One of my best friends is black. He passed away, rest in peace. But
sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But he did tell me, he goes, I like you, Rosie, because you never made me feel like a black man. He goes, you just treated me like a person.
Right.
And that's how I treat everyone. It doesn't matter your race, your class, your ethnicity, your gender, your sexual orientation. If you're cool with me, you're cool.
Right.
If you're not cool with me, we're not cool.
Right. I do the same thing. You can't treat people by the way of the skin color. You know what I mean? Yeah. I look past all that shit. I don't even see skin color. I really don't. I like looking at the person's heart.
Yeah.
You gotta know who people are. If I can fuck with you, then we cool. You know what I mean? If you shady motherfucker, get from around me.
Exactly.
I can't trust you. You can't trust the person around $1 bill on the table. Get from around me, bro. We don't need any of that in our life.
Exactly. So I'll always be a West Bank girl at heart, but I love people that are cool. That's it. If you're, because sometimes people have an attitude problem for no reason, and I don't think that's necessary.
No, they don't. How was it in your school?
You know what? I felt like Ben Franklin was very diverse. But I did feel growing up that it was weird. So I went to an elementary school that was totally mixed and everyone was cool with everyone. And then when I went to junior high, what I noticed is that people started separating based on class and race and other things like that. And I didn't like that.
Right.
I felt like we were all like cool. And then people started kind of separating up. But that's a normal junior high thing.
Yeah.
But my high school was pretty mixed, which was cool. But I really did not like that about school, was people separating with class and gender and ethnicity and things like that.
Yeah, I was a problem child. I was like alone. I had my friends, but
I could see you causing some problems.
Our school was segregated, like not segregated, but like people had their own groups. You know what I mean?
Where did you go to?
John Ehret.
Okay.
John Ehret, the biggest school in Louisiana.
I know. I had some friends who went to Ehret.
Yeah, it was fun for me. I had the only time, like when I went there, we had the only block schedule. And if you don't know what a block schedule is, that's like you go to 4 classes one day and then 4 classes the next day. And it was real easy to skip. So it was real easy. I had a blast, but people were like, they had like, we used to call them tree people, like the rocker heads, the rocker kids. Then they had like, the black kids would chill with each other, and then white. I was the loner, you know what I mean? Spanish kids would chill with each other too.
You're not a loner, you were a floater.
I was a floater. Yeah, I was cool with everybody. But like I used to do all kinds of stuff. I would bring brownies, like weed brownies to school.
Of course you did.
7 in the morning, and we would I just have all my friends fucked up all day long. We're only gonna stay there till lunchtime anyway, and get out of there. It was fun though. We used to smoke a lot of weed on school campus.
I could see that.
Dude, we had no cameras or nothing. There was a pack of like 70 of us that would go on the bus route in the back where the buses dropped everybody during lunch and just get wasted.
Oh my God, that's a lot of weed.
We would get wasted.
70 kids?
It really was from like a pack of like 20 to 70 at any given time. It was crazy.
Gosh. And none of the teachers noticed, or they just didn't care. The teachers were selling you the weed.
The teachers didn't care. They really didn't care. It was crazy.
They're like, we're public school teachers. We're underpaid. Whatever.
Yeah. I had in 11th grade. I had 10th grade. I had a 10th grade English teacher that's quit, and we had a substitute all year long. And the substitute actually asked me what I wanted on my report card every
like A+.
No, I was like, I want a C. She was like, you're my favorite student. I know my parents, they're not going to believe I made an A. They're not going to believe it. I loved it. Tell me a little bit more about your childhood growing up.
So I grew up with traditional Vietnamese parents. My parents were immigrants. I do have some interesting. My mom was actually Miss Saigon in 1974.
Okay, hot mama.
Yeah, hot mama. So she was a beauty queen. And my dad was a Vietnamese refugee, and he worked at Toro uptown. So he was an engineer, very, very stereotypical Asian job. And I have a joke about him being an engineer. Okay. So yeah.
All right. What about you? What did you like to do when you were a kid?
I was really shy, Pickle.
Yeah.
I didn't get all crazy and into stand up and talking until I was older. I was a very shy kid. My parents were really strict.
Did they put you in any programs like dancing or ballet or?
I was just shy. I played the piano, classical piano.
Oh, you played the piano?
That's like super Asian.
That's what's up. No, I like that.
I don't play the piano anymore. I've blocked it out from like trauma.
Okay.
I had a crazy like old Vietnamese music teacher that looked like a Vietnamese Beethoven. He had like the crazy hair, and he would like beat us. Like if we didn't, like I would play.
Beat you?
Yeah.
In school or
no, at home? So we had piano lessons, and if we didn't get it right, he had a ruler and he'd slap our hands. Like if we got the notes, I'm like traumatized.
It's like a Catholic school teacher. What?
He was like crazy.
Wait, your parents allowed this? They didn't care?
Oh yeah, my parents were super strict. They didn't care. They're like, you need to learn the piano. Like,
discipline those hands.
So I definitely know discipline. We had it. We were so strict. My dad didn't even let me talk to boys. I remember one time a boy called me for homework, and I got punished and I got grounded. So,
oh man.
Yeah, I grew up in a very strict home.
What kind of boys you like? I know you got a white boyfriend. You like white boys your whole life?
No, I've dated all sorts of guys. I dated black guys, Latino guys, Middle Eastern guys, but I do like very clean cut guys. That's my thing.
Okay.
So like the black guys I dated were kind of Carlton-ish.
Carlton-ish?
Like the Fresh Prince, right? Yeah. So they weren't like brothers. They were more like Carlton. So I do like really clean cut guys. I don't know why. I don't know if it was because I was brainwashed because my parents were so strict and proper. But that's my type is clean cut. But the race doesn't matter. But
you just knew you couldn't bring home something like real like gutter punk to dad.
Yeah, I couldn't bring home like a gutter punk or like some like Rico Suave guy or like Tyrone with the gold chain. But I could bring I could bring home Carlton with like the sweater vest.
Okay, all right. I like your boyfriend. He's a good guy. You know, how does he handle having a comedian as a girlfriend?
So I'm really lucky because I met him as a comedian. So he saw me and knew me as a comedian, which is great. And he's actually the perfect comic partner because I dated a lot of guys before. I've dated comics and then I've dated guys that weren't comics. And so the comics that I dated didn't work out, I think, because it was just too weird, I think.
Is it weird? Because I've been going through some shit in my head. You know what I mean? I've never
about certain girls in the comedy world.
Well, no, I never dated a comic or messed with a comic or anything like that. But messing with regular people, it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Because we live a certain kind of life, and
for sure.
At first they're like, oh, it's awesome. Y'all come around this dude's good. He gets all kinds of attention. That means I get attention, you know? And but once they see I get more attention than them because I'm actually funny, or they or they see that I go out every single night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's only for a certain amount of time, but in most people's lives, that certain amount of time they're together at night.
Well,
it depends.
I mean? So it depends on the person. So I've dated a few comics, and some of them were awesome and super supportive people, and we would help each other write jokes, and we were funny and things like that. But it just didn't work out. Like our personalities didn't work out, and they were really good people, and I have nothing bad to say about them. But there were maybe one comic guy I dated that was very jealous. So if I had a better set than him that night, he would get jealous. And so that's where it can be. So it depends on the personality of the person.
Yeah.
But
you gotta have somebody that's funny.
Yeah.
If you're funny, you gotta have a funny person.
You have to have a funny person, but you also have to have someone that doesn't take it personal. You know, if they have a bad set and you have a good set, because that has nothing to do with you. That has to do with maybe, this is what I always say is people think comedy is comedy. They're like, comedy is comedy. No, comedy is like music. There's country music, there's metal, there's rap music. And some people don't like rap music, but they like country, or some people like metal, but they don't like pop. And so people just think comedy is comedy. No, some comedians are sarcastic. Some comedians are more physical. Some comedians are more, you know, urban. Some comedians are more mainstream. And an audience, you might be hilarious, but maybe the audience likes clean comedy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or maybe the audience likes urban comedy and you're not urban enough, or whatever.
Right.
And so if you're funny and you know you're funny, then you should be confident. And with this one comedian that I dated, he was too attached to what the audience thought. And anytime he had a bad set, it was like he had a mental breakdown. And so he was not secure in his comedy. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter if the person you're with is funny or learning or growing, but they have to not take it out on you if they have a bad set.
Right. You know, get your shit together, comics.
Yeah. And so that was the thing. I dated a couple comics that were amazing guys, but yes, I did date one that was very insecure about his comedy. He was funny, but he was just so insecure about his comedy. Okay. And he would like get really upset if I had a good set and he didn't. I'm like, dude, chill out.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't get mad. But I would be afraid of the other person getting mad. You know what I mean? Like that because I have really good sets sometimes. Yeah. But I also have really bad sets.
We all do.
You know what I mean? But I don't want somebody to come at me like the way you said, like, oh, I had a really good set and you had a bad set, and I try to give them a note and they'll be like, fuck you and your note. I'm just
But it can work. I have friends that are comics that are couples, and you know, there's famous ones like Christina Pazitsky and Tom Segura. So it can work if you're with the right person. So it's just like being with a normal person. But one thing I don't like, my hubby doesn't do this, but I've heard other people like, oh, how can you date another comic? Like they're crazy, or comics are crazy. I actually think comics are more sane. Because the average person is at their desk or doing whatever they do, and they're keeping all their emotions inside. Comics, we have an outlet. We're out there talking, venting, whatever. And so maybe we seem crazy because we're talking about our problems and our issues more, but we're actually getting it out.
You know, I have that same kind of feeling. I feel like we're more present in the moment nowadays, and we're more aware of everything because we have to stand on stage and worry about our audience at the same time. And like you said, and be able to read that room. If they're not liking the jokes you do, you gotta be able to pivot, you know. I forgot where I was going with that. I lost myself.
Focus, be present.
Focus, be present. That's where we were. Be present. Yeah, I feel like as a regular person in the world, they don't get that outlet.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
They don't get that outlet, and they don't know how to let it out. You know what I'm saying? So when they are a little more crazy.
They are. I think normal people are more crazy than comedians. And people are like, well, there's a lot of comedians that are depressed and like, you know, talking about their issues. And Louis C.K. has a hilarious quote. He says, a lot of delivery truck drivers are depressed too, but no one cares.
Yeah.
He's like, comics are talking about it, right? So people care about it.
Right. Yeah. Get a therapist, people.
Yeah.
Do something. Be present in the moment.
Sorry to delivery truck drivers.
No, but
this is a Louis C.K. quote, not me.
I do think that, like, I talk to comics about that sometimes too. Like, I let them know I feel like we're more present. Some of them are like, no, I don't think we are. I was like, no, we are. Like, we have to use our brains. You know what I mean? We have to keep those bitches rolling. Or we can get lost, you know, and it's easy to get lost in the world. Just walk around with your head in the clouds, you know. And I feel as a comic, I don't do that like I used to. You know, I never really did walk around with my heads in the cloud because I was a drug dealer. So I had to make sure I was safe.
I knew I loved you, Pickle. We have something in common. I used to be a drug dealer too.
Stop it. Yes.
I knew we had something in common.
West Bank shit, people.
West Bank.
Yeah. That's my girl.
Yeah.
What you used to sell?
So my sister was in college and she was dating a DJ.
Okay.
And of course, my parents didn't know about it, right? They're sweet little innocent girl. She was studying to become a doctor, and she was dating a DJ, and he used to deal in New Orleans. And I was like, oh, maybe I can make some money. I'm actually an entrepreneur.
That's right.
I was like, maybe I can make some money on the side. So I'm very lucky. Nothing ever happened to me, but I did sell E to high school students.
That's what I'm talking about. Me too. That was my main drug. That was a good money maker.
It was a good money. I would sell E, and also I would sell packaged noodles. So I was a hustler. Hell yeah. I would go to the Asian market and buy the ramen noodles, and I would sell them at lunch.
Fuck yeah.
I bought them for 25 cents. I'd sell them for $1. Right. West Bank has the hustle.
West Bank, no, we got the hustle. Look, I started selling candy in high school.
I knew we had a vibe.
Yeah, we did. That's what I'm talking about, dude. I would sell. I would go to fucking Sam's. I'd get my dad to bring me to Sam's, and I would buy the king size shit and sell them for $1.
Exactly. It's a good, you know. The kids are hungry. I got my ramen noodles in my bag.
By third period, I got a pocket full of cash, you know, and I don't even care about school anymore.
I don't know if that shows how amazing and entrepreneurial we are, or how horrible the public school system is in Louisiana.
I think it's both. I think the public school system's so bad, we recognize it, and they're like, oh, we gotta
get our hustle on.
We gotta do something here. I don't think I got too much of a chance. You know,
it's funny. I didn't look at it though as dealing drugs. I looked at it as being a businesswoman. I was like, I need to make some money. You know, I did try it, but I wasn't really into the drug scene, but I was more about just making that money.
Yeah. So you didn't like that? So you didn't like taking it?
I did. I tried it twice and I did have a good experience, but I'm not a partier. Like I'm not, I do like to have fun, but I'm not.
How old were you when you tried it for the first time?
I was 16. I did it once when I was 16 and once when I was 18.
Okay. I was 16 the first time I tried it. My cousin gave me an ecstasy pill for my birthday. And I remember it was a red star. I remember that shit. And I had a horrible experience.
You had a bad first experience?
I had a bad first experience because I was young and I was a psychopath, all right? And I had like murderous thoughts. I wanted to like do stuff to people that aggravated me on the smallest level. And I was like, you know, that's not my thing. I can't take it. But the good thing about it is I can sell it. I can sell it and make that money, you know?
It was funny. My girlfriend, I took it with I'm not a lesbian, but a female friend. And I had a great experience. I was like feeling the love and like, you know, hippie love world. And she was like barfing all over the
place. Man.
She was like barfing. She's like, I feel sick. I feel dizzy. And I'm like, you're so beautiful barfing. I was like, what a beautiful barf. Let me hold your hair. I love you. Your hair is so soft.
You're the best projectile I've ever seen.
I was like the most positive, supportive. I was like, oh, what a beautiful vomit. Oh my gosh, your hair is so, let me hold back your hair, honey. And she was like, I'm so sick. And I was like, oh, it's amazing.
Not to change the subject, but I saw the most amazing projectile vomit here at another bar one night. I'm doing the show and I go around, I got somebody on stage and I go around to the bar and this girl just stands there and all of a sudden she just
in slow motion.
A rainbow stream. She's on this side of the bar. It goes over the bar. Onto the floor. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I wish I should. I'm sorry, I shouldn't.
You're like, I should have done a TikTok video about this. It would have gone viral.
It was the most amazing projectile vomit ever, bro. I was like, in awe. I didn't know it could happen like that.
It can.
Yeah,
It can.
I didn't. So all you saw was eggs and noodles.
I did do one cocaine deal, but I was like too scared. I was too innocent.
I don't blame. I like cocaine was my drug of choice.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I had nowadays cocaine is horrible. I don't recommend ever doing cocaine again for people.
And it's scary because they're cutting it with weird stuff.
With that fentanyl shit.
Yeah, I have friends that passed away in Los Angeles from ODing, and I've had friends that have gotten really sick. So
that fentanyl shit is
crazy.
Very bad.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. I actually OD'd off fentanyl.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I mean, it's okay. I don't do drugs anymore. It's a life-changing, altering experience.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good thing I did that. I'm sober now.
When you wake up with EMTs over you, you're like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. But I mean, people lie about what they're putting in drugs.
Of course, yeah.
You know, so you can't, especially with cocaine. You know what I mean? It's it was a pill what I took, and it's crazy how they make them look exactly the way they're supposed to look. But it was one too. It wasn't like
you didn't take a whole crazy.
I didn't take a bunch. It was just one. And it fucked my world up, you know. I woke up, but yeah, you can't do drugs nowadays. That shit is crazy. But back in the day, cocaine was amazing. You hear me? Like, it was amazing. And I was afraid to do it. Like, I used to sell. I sold a lot of weed too. I used to have like best weed on the West Bank. I had an Asian fucking plug. This dude was amazing. Like, he came through amazing, you know. But I had this one. He was a cocaine dealer, and I would sell him. He wanted the good shit. You know what I mean? Like the high quality shit back, like that kind bud type. You know. So he was the first person to come around with names, my dudes. But I would bring this cocaine dealer marijuana, and he started trying to get me to like trade. And I'm like, nah, bro, I don't do coke. And then one night, I went over there, and it was just one of these nights. He was like, hey, bro, here, try this. And he puts a rock, like a fucking rock, dude, on top of a paint can. I remember, on top of a paint can, crushes it with a fucking lighter. You understand? He's like, that's you. And I hit that shit, and I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I was straight numb.
Okay, just because I'm an experienced podcaster, I want to say that any law enforcement officials that are watching this podcast is for entertainment purposes and only. We are telling stories. They're not true.
My stories are true. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
trying to protect you legally. Pickle.
Okay, well, no,
they're not true.
I guess what Rosie said. She's
any law enforcement people watching these stories.
You think I could go to jail and get in trouble over saying
we're making
like
this
that?
up?
I don't.
I would rather protect us than not.
Okay, no, I don't think I can go to jail. Look, all this is in the past. We're talking about past here, the past. Like, I'm good now.
We're just joking around.
I like it. There it is.
I'm trying to protect you here, Pickle. We're joking around.
The good Lord protects me, Rosie. He keeps a covering on me. Angels hover over me.
No, I don't think we can get in trouble, but I do know of someone who was making jokes about raping someone on a podcast, and they were.
Well, that's not funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
Horrible.
Yeah,
no.
And that was.
We're talking about cocaine. That's cocaine and ecstasy. I used to sell purses too. Is that can I get in trouble for that?
Okay, when I finally get a successful comedy career, I swear to God, Pickles' house is going to be the clip that goes viral, and I get canceled. Like, Rosie Tran got canceled from this mysterious Pickles House podcast that they found. The clip's gonna go viral of me like, she was a drug dealer. No.
They want to know who you were, Rosie. Everybody wants to know the real.
No, I'm always honest on all podcasts, but yes, if any law enforcement is watching, it's a joke.
Have you ever talked about any of this before?
I have, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, no, you're not getting canceled off of this. No. I'll do you one better. I used to have a cop in my pocket. And he was a bootleg cop.
What does that mean?
It means he would fucking like stalk bootleggers, and he would pop bootleggers. And whenever he would pop the boot, he was a junkie, a pain pill junkie. So he would pop bootleggers, and he would come to me and be like, "All right, I have 2,000 purses. You know what I mean? $10 a piece. You know, if you ever see like
were they
those,
legit purses or
they
fake purses?
They were probably fake. The Gucci. You remember a long time ago?
It was like Gookie.
It was
yeah. Or like Chano.
I didn't say that word. She did.
You're Louis Vuittoni?
Louis Vuittoni, yeah. I like that.
You're like Findy. That doesn't Fendi? What?
Hell yeah. But yeah, he would like put like CDs, anything he would get, he would come to me and I get it for a cheaper price and shit, or basically drugs sometimes.
So what I hear is you had a friend that robbed my mother.
Your brother got your mother was a bootlegger?
No. But usually they're Asian because they get them from China, right?
Okay. I don't know where these things came from.
They came from China.
They probably did. But they were good quality. I'm not going to lie. They were good quality. I made a nice amount of money off of them. People were like, you selling purses? Yeah, I'm a hustler, bro.
That's right.
It's not just drugs. I'm an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur, hashtag.
That's what I'm going to start hashtagging everything. Entrepreneur, man. Entrepreneur. Oh, man. Do you have any other crazy secrets out there?
I don't have any secrets. I am an open book. I do talk about everything on stage and on my podcasts because I think it's very important. So like I said, I grew up in a very conservative household and we didn't talk about anything. And so when I got into the real world, I realized there was such a big world out there. So yeah, I talk about everything. I think it's really important to get awareness and know. And also, I think it's very important for me as an Asian woman to show that, you know, we're people and we're diverse and we have different stories and different things because there's a lot of stereotypes about, you know, Asian women being submissive or being quiet. And I'm like, no, we're people. We have like, you know, things. So I think it's very important to have my voice and speak my truth.
People, I'm the dominant. Fuck being submissive. Asian women always get that dominant fucking whip. Now I'm starting to feel sorry for you, boyfriend. I can picture you in like a Catwoman outfit with a whip down. And that poor man's just tied to the wall.
You're so funny.
Chain me through the wall. Oh my gosh. So would you say you lived like a secluded life kind of at first? And
no, so I started stand up really young. What happened was I was dating a guy in New Orleans who wanted to be a comedian. And I used to go with him to all the open mics. It was an open mic in the warehouse district called True Brew.
How long ago is this first?
Many years. I'm not going to reveal my age.
Okay. That's the one thing we're going to keep secret.
It was many years ago. And he wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And I was very shy. I used to go with him to his shows. And I would give him pointers. I would say, well, babe, why don't you tell the joke like this? It's funnier like this. Or why don't you tell it like this? And every time he took my comments, he would get a bigger laugh.
Yeah.
So so we moved to LA together. He wanted to go out to LA to become a comedian and I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, but I didn't know what. I thought maybe I'll
Did he like getting the bigger laugh off of your
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
So I wanted to like be a screenwriter or I didn't know, but something like behind the door, right? Because I was super shy.
Yeah.
And then we ended up breaking up and I was sitting at my apartment and I was like, wow, I kind of miss going to comedy clubs every night.
Okay.
So I started going to comedy clubs again just to watch.
How old were you when you started?
I was 19.
19, okay.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I well, I miss going to clubs. I would go and I would watch. And I didn't realize it, but I was a comedy writer because I had been writing jokes for him or telling him how to say stuff. And so then in my mind, I thought, well, what would I talk about?
So wait, you weren't getting on stage. You were just punching his shit up.
I wasn't getting on stage. I wasn't a comedian yet.
Okay.
So I would say, babe, say it like this or say it like this. And so I got to watching stand up and I thought, well, what would I talk about if I was a comedian?
Yeah.
And then I kind of got the little disease in my mind where it was like, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Because I had already been writing jokes for 2 years for him. And so,
damn,
but not like writing jokes, but just telling him like, say it like this. Say
right.
It like this.
You would have his jokes and premises already. And you would come back and.
Because he would rehearse in front of me. He would stand in the living room and he would tell his jokes and I would watch him. And I would say, well, why don't you say it like this?
Okay.
So I started writing jokes for myself if I was to tell them. And then I went on stage and I did it. And
that's what's up.
And I was really shy, but
your first time, did you do well your first time?
I did.
Yeah.
And I was really, really shy, but when I got on stage, I wasn't shy. And so that's when I knew I was like, I think I'm supposed to be a comedian.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. My first time I did good. We were in a supportive area though.
Yeah.
And but after that,
there's some tough shows. When you first start out, yeah.
Of tough shows. All right, 10 months. But that shit made me tough. I had a fucking show last night that was a rough room, but I did 30 minutes in it, and it's like all those tough shows get you ready for that type of shit.
Actually, the worst, one of the toughest shows I ever had was one of my favorite shows I've ever had in my career.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a bomb or was it
So it was a bomb that turned into a good. I had to turn them.
Okay, yeah.
So I was doing a bar show in East LA, and it was really rough. It was a gang bar. There was like a lot of cholos there, and a lot of the comedians were just eating, excuse my language, eating shit.
Yeah.
And they were just bombing the cholos were heckling them. I mean, it was a rough. Like I think a comedian got stabbed at that show one time.
Jesus Christ.
So it was a gang bar, and they just happened. It was in East LA, and everyone was bombing, and the comedian before me, he goes, good. He was basically like, good luck, Rosie.
Right.
Like, this is a tough crowd. And what I noticed was there was a lot of gang members there and tough looking guys and cholos there, but they also had their girlfriends with them.
Yeah.
So I went up there and I started playing to the women.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you hear, shut up. She's funny, dude. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right. So their girlfriends start hitting them.
Yeah.
Pay attention. This bitch is funny. And
they're the only ones that can control them.
Yeah. So
I like that.
It went from a rough, I mean, they were heckling the comics. They were boo, boo, so it was like Showtime at the Apollo. It was pretty, people were just boo, boo, get off, you suck. And so everyone was scared of the dudes. And I just noticed the women were there. So I started appealing to the women and telling jokes to them. And then
there's still people.
Yeah. And they turn, they go, shut up, she's funny, dude. And so they got their boyfriends and husbands to shut the fuck up and pay attention. And I turned the room. And to turn a room, I mean, you feel like God.
Yes. Yes.
And like I got off the stage and all the other comics were like, how did you do that? And then afterwards, everyone had a good set after because people started paying attention.
Right.
But it's like, my heart was beating. I was so scared. I was like, am I going to get stabbed? I mean, it was a really rough, scary room.
Honestly, that's the rooms when I leave Louisiana and I go to a different state, I'm like, bring me to the worst room you have. Yeah. When I go there, like I went to Detroit, and right now Detroit's the murder capital of the world. And
New Orleans, we kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, people over there were trying to mess with me. You know what I'm saying? They're like, we're the murder capital. I was like, bitch, I'm from New Orleans. We were the murder capital first. Get away from me with that bullshit you're talking. You're not gonna scare this white boy, even though I'm the only white person in here.
That's funny.
But my girl I was with, by the mother of my child, she was like, "You bringing me to this area? Like this is the worst area of Detroit." I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go. We're getting robbed. We're getting robbed to do comedy today. This is gonna happen, bro." And I lit the room up. You know what I mean?
I know you did. I know you did, Pickle.
It was just beautiful. It's like the most beautiful thing in the world.
I think sometimes too, people don't expect it. Like you go to a black room and like, who's this white guy? And people don't expect it. And so I like that. So a lot of people underestimate me, and I love that. Right. I love when people are like, I've had people come to me, oh, well, you seem like you'd be really, quiet or shy. Like I was surprised you were funny. I said, well, why do you think that? Because you never met me.
Right.
So I like when people underestimate me.
Yeah, that's how I walk in. I walk into a room nowadays, I'm like, these motherfuckers don't even know what's about to happen. They don't even know.
They're like, this is Pickles' house, bitch.
Yeah, I turned everywhere into Pickles' house. Yeah, I went to Texas and like some of the comics were like bombing on the show. And then I got up there and I lit the room up, and it was like the show you were talking about. And it was like, as soon as you get that one person that can turn the room and just like, they just crack. You know what I mean?
Because people want to laugh.
Right,
they want to laugh. Yeah.
And once you get them to that point, everybody else has a good night.
#dill.
What's the deal?
What's the deal?
This is the deal. We get it in,
Yeah, no, turning a room, I think, I don't care. People that are like politicians or doctors or lawyers or whatever, the high up, I can turn a room. Okay. That's the one thing I can do.
And the one thing I got from New Orleans comedy scene is like, we have a lot of weird shit that happens in our rooms.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So it like prepares us for out there, Yeah. How long did you do comedy in New Orleans?
I did comedy in New Orleans. So I started
before you left.
So I was back and forth. But I started officially in Los Angeles, and then I was back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was part of the comedy scene because my ex was doing comedy. So I was like, I knew all the comics, like Sean Patton.
Yeah.
I knew Sean. I was friends with Sean. I was friends with, I left before Mark Norman started.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was friends with the Sean Patton crew.
I got to meet Mark Norman one time, and it was like an awkward experience. It was at his show, and it was in the heat of the pandemic. You know, like right when the pandemic happened. We only stopped doing comedy down here for like 4 months. Me and some other people brought comedy back. Like I'm the person who started comedy again in New Orleans with a couple of other people. You know, but we ended up going to a show, a Mark Norman show, and I get there, and I go to the front door, and all of a sudden Mark just in my face. I was like, "Oh, hi, Mark Norman. What's up, dude?" You know, and we were talking for a second, and I called him sir. He was like, "Oh man, don't call me sir." You know, I was like, "All right," you know.
That was a very good Mark Norman
was it? But we were talking some more. And I ended up calling him sir again, and we both kind of like acknowledged that it was weird and just walked off. You know, it was the most horrible experience you can meet.
That sounds like an episode of Seinfeld, honestly.
Was it?
Yeah.
Does it? It was a horrible experience for me. But next time, I'm pretty sure he doesn't remember me. So next time, I'll be able to make another first impression.
He might. New Orleans is a small comedy.
I don't know if I told him my name. We were just talking because once you hear the name Pickle, you kind of remember that. You know,
do. Very memorable.
It sticks in your head. So I don't know if I exchanged names with him. We just talked for like a brief 5 minutes, and it was just a weird interaction.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was like, I saw gray hair, and I was like, I'm just respecting my elders. That's all. I was raised right. I might have been a drug dealer, but I have manners.
Southern gentleman from Marrero.
Right. From as a gentleman as you can get. Oh man. Do you have anything in LA coming up?
I do have a couple shows, but I would say, yeah, just follow me on social media because everything's on there. Because I'm blanking, but I do have some shows coming up.
I know you told me you were shooting a pilot. You want to talk about that?
I did. So I showed a pilot in Lafayette, Louisiana, for a game show, called Gen Smack. And so I'm excited about that. I was hosting, and it was a trivia game show.
Ooh, you got the hosting spot?
Yeah.
Girl, that's what's up.
So we'll see.
Yeah. If you get that, you got to get me on the trivia show.
Sure.
I'll probably lose, but we'll have a good time. Is it a one-person trivia show?
It isn't. So it's like Family Feud. So
it's like Family Feud?
You would need your crazy Marrero family.
I have to use my family?
You have to use your family.
I don't know if that's a good idea. Y'all think I'm the fucking crazy one. Everybody else, you're going to see how I got this way. I don't know if I want to do the show anymore. We can keep them where they're at, you know? Nah, they don't like the spotlight. My dad actually, my dad was a Bourbon Street blues player.
Oh, amazing.
Growing up and stuff. He took me into Bourbon Street when I was younger. I remember a little bit about it. But he didn't want to do all the traveling stuff. So
yeah, it's a lot.
He ended up just, he fixes instruments now, you know.
You told me you build instruments.
He builds instruments, buys, sells, and fixes instruments. That's what we do besides comedy. And he did not like the lifestyle.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the comedy lifestyle is really tough too. You know, I have a day job now. I was doing comedy full time for a few years, but it's a lot. Unless you're a big celebrity and you're making 6-7 figures, it's really tough.
Yeah, it's an adjustment. You know what I mean? He didn't like going out every night. But now he's like telling me, man, I kind of wish I went on the road. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Why didn't you? Why didn't you? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't you?
The road is fun. I think it's more fun for guys though. Cause like when I would go on tour and stuff, like all the guy comics, they'd have all these like hot groupies coming to them after the show. Like, oh my God, you're so funny. And then I get like these creepy dudes. Like,
see, I get the opposite. I don't get these hot chicks. You know what I mean?
You get the creepy dudes. They're like, you're a funny dude.
I might be talking to a female and they'll bust in the middle, be like, what's up, pickle dude? What's up? That was amazing, my felon. I'm like, what is going on here, man?
Yeah, I get a lot of creepy dudes.
I get the creeps too, bro. We're in the same boat.
Oh
I get the fucking drug dealers. I get the fucked up people. Like, this is my crowd. God, thank you. As long as y'all listen and come to the shows, I love it. You know, I do. I love y'all. Support your local comics. Creepy people. I love it. Let's see. Did you have any hobbies?
Not really. Comedy has been my life. I'm a crazy pet lady, but other than that,
lady?
Yeah.
Animals? What kind of animals you got?
I have doggies. I love doggies and I love animals. But I'm a boring person. I don't really have any. I have some crazy comedy stories, but my life is basically just comedy. And
okay. Well, tell me your craziest comedy story.
I don't know that I have any crazy comedy stories off the bat, but I do have some crazy entertainment industry stories. Or just, I have some crazy LA stories.
All right, give me an LA story.
I can tell you a crazy story. Okay, so right after my boyfriend that wanted to be a comedian, we didn't just break up. He actually cheated on me with a dominatrix.
Oh.
So, I was like 20 when we broke up.
He did like getting chained to the wall.
Speaking of getting chained to the wall. And I, as I mentioned, I was a very innocent person. You know, he was the first person I'd ever been with. I had never had a boyfriend. I was really shy and kind of introverted. And so I was like, well, what is the deal with this dominatrix? So I actually became a dominatrix.
Hell yeah. That's what's up.
And I tried it out for 6 months. It wasn't for me, but it was crazy. Like, so I'm lucky, ladies, don't try this at home. I was lucky that nothing bad happened to me, but I went to the Pleasure Chest, which is a sex store, and I bought a whip.
Okay.
And let me just say, I literally did not know what I was doing. And I bought a whip and I put an ad out on Craigslist for a professional dominatrix, and I actually got clients.
Oh, shit.
And believe it or not, the stereotype is true. It was like mostly like really rich businessmen. And one of my clients was the executive. He was vice president of a very
50 Shades of Grey.
Very large company in the US that you would know. I'm not going to say this on the air because it's libel, but he did have me beat the crap out of him, step on his face, shove a dildo up his butt.
Oh, shit.
I think your sound engineer just gagged on his own spit. He's like, whoa.
50 Shades of Grey Rosie in the building.
Yeah. And I actually had no idea what I was doing. It was pretty easy. I just did what they told me to do. Like, I was like, what do you want? Other than sex. I didn't do any sex, but they're like, what do you want? And they would just tell me, like, I want you to beat me and like call me names, or like, I want you. The dildo was the scariest. So the guy shows up and he's like,
scariest.
He brings in this dildo, by the way. It was like this big.
Oh my God.
It was a black dildo, and he's like, I want you to shove this up my butt.
Of course it was a black dildo. Shove the black guy up my ass.
And I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And he's like, okay. So he bent over and I shoved it in. It wouldn't go in. And I had to shove it. I did lube it up. And
she's just back there.
Yeah. And it was, again,
trying to break in the door with a battering ram.
Let me just tell your listeners, I literally was like basically a virgin. I had only had sex with one guy. I was so innocent. And here I am 6 months later shoving the dildo up. And that client actually told me, he said I was the best dominatrix he had ever had in his entire life.
Oh man.
But then we
got a knack for it.
But then we broke up because he wanted to be my full-time live-in slave. And I wasn't into that. That was super creepy. But 6 months later, he actually called me. He goes, I want you to meet my new like mistress or whatever. So I went to his house, and this poor guy, I don't know what kind of issues he had, was actually living in a dog crate. And this lady's like, oh my God. I know, right? He was like wild. Really into it. I'm not making fun of people that are into this. I'm just saying it was crazy. It was crazy.
I just think that's some LA shit.
You would be surprised. You would be surprised. So I did that for 6 months. And then I was like, okay, I'm not into this. I don't think this is going to help me figure out why my ex cheated. So I did have my adventures in being a dominatrix.
That's fucking awesome.
It was crazy.
Y'all, that's been our podcast today.
You didn't expect that from me, did you, Pickles?
No, I love this. I don't think we could top that right now. 50 Shades of Grey, out of the box, Rosie Tran. I love it. You want to plug one more time?
Yeah.
Where they can find you?
Check me out on Facebook or Twitter at Funny Rosie. That's funny and Rosie Rosie with an IE at the end. And I'm Out of the Box Rosie on Instagram. Check me out. Come see my stand up. And please come and say hi to me after the show, but don't be creepy.
Hell yeah. That's my West Bank homie right there, Rosie Tran, you guys. I've been Pickle. Come back and to another bar if you're ever in New Orleans. And y'all have a good day. Thank you. Bye.